All right, in this video, we're going to talk about how do you find negative keywords and how do you properly apply negative keywords. This is not only going to be, honestly, one of the easiest videos, but also the most important at the same time. If you're not consistently adding in and harvesting new negative keywords, you're not going to succeed, especially in the beginning of a new account or a new campaign. That's when you're going to have the most irrelevant search terms, and you want to catch those early on. Some people even use negative keyword lists before the campaign goes live to, easily add in 500 to 1,000 plus negative keywords, which really help things optimize and just stay relevant off the bat. We'll talk about that. First things first, how do you find negative keywords to add? Well, two ways, right? For one, just use common sense. So, for example, I'm going to be here using a tool called Keyword Wrapper, which just allows me to enter a bunch of keywords line by line and then wrap them easily, as I like to negate by what's called phrase match, which we'll talk about in a minute. But back to the topic, how do you find negative keywords? First, just use your brain, right? What do you not want to show for? So if you're a local lead gen company, like a roofer, electrician, or a plumber, you probably don't want to show for people who are looking for jobs, right? People are looking to get hired, so hiring, hire, or maybe training, school, certificate, how to, right? You don't want to show people who are looking for jobs. So maybe like Indeed, LinkedIn, stuff like that, right? People are going to search those trigger words, as we call it. You want to make sure you're negating the trigger word. So, for example, you don't want to negate roofing jobs near me. You would negate the trigger word. The trigger word would be job, jobs, hiring, hire, stuff like that. What else would you not want to show for? Probably people looking to do it themselves, or maybe purchase a solution from like Amazon or Walmart. So DIY, how to, Amazon, Walmart, YouTube, videos, ideas, Reddit, stuff like that, right? You don't want to show for these relevant terms. Cool, so let's say you went down and you did this for a long time, right? You just spent 20, 30 minutes just thinking of trigger words people would search that you don't want your ad to appear for, such as these. You'd list them all out here in your tool, or maybe just a keyword sheet, or just do it manually. And what you want to do is you want to take the phrase match variant of all of these terms and apply it to your campaign negative keywords. Now, where do you go and do that? Well, you go to the keyword section of your campaign. You go up here to negative search keywords, should look right here. And then you can click the plus icon, and this is where you can add in all of your negative keywords. So you can just paste them here, or you can directly start typing here if you want, right? So maybe school, college, for sale. A big one that a lot of people forget about are stuff like supplies, material, supply store, right? Stuff like that, especially if you're a roofer or something like that. People are constantly searching for supplies, ABC supplies, stuff like that. So you put your negative keywords in there, and then you go ahead and hit save. And then you would continuously be adding on all of these negative keywords, right? The main thing you want to make sure you're doing is adding in the phrase match trigger, like we just covered here. So let's go over some search terms on how other ways you can find negative keywords, right? So now you've done some brainstorming, you came up with some negative keywords yourself. This is what we came up with. But obviously you want to be checking in, every day, every other day to see other keywords you want to negate, or what we call search terms. Underneath insights and reports, navigate to search terms, select the time frame, and now you can see all of the exact searches that your ads are appearing for. This is exactly how you find issues in your campaign, what's working, what's not working, what keywords are triggering bad queries, stuff like that. So if we scroll down, keeping in mind that this is specific to a roofing campaign or a roofing account, I can already see some off that. Sun turf installation, right? We don't want that. So I'm just gonna highlight the ones that we don't want. And even better, I recommend copying them directly and putting them in a sheet or this tool that I'll send you guys. But remember, we don't want to copy the entire term, right? We don't want to negate sun turf installation, or I guess this says sun tough. We want to take this root word or the trigger word, we copy that, and we put it in our handy dandy tool, right? Then we go back and forth and we do this. Roof maintenance, that's fine. Let's just pretend and say, oh, I'm not in Ridgecrest, or I don't service that. So I'd go ahead and maybe I'd negate that too. So I'm just gonna go line by line here, see if I can find any bad ones. Circle City Roofing, these are good. Midas Roofing, that would be a competitor, right? So same thing, you wanna make sure you're negating competitors. That's probably going to be the most common a lot of people will see. So maybe you don't want small jobs, maybe you negate the term small. Or more common, people do like cheap, affordable, right? You don't want those kind of small, cheap jobs, you do that. Heart roofing, that would be a competitor, so we can go ahead and negate that. Maybe you don't do flat roofs, right? Maybe so you don't want flat roofing, so you negate the term flat. Maybe you also don't do tile, so you negate the term tile, right? Stuff like that. That's all we're doing here. Is we're just skimming through and we're looking for search terms that we don't want to appear for. We can go ahead and take a look at the next page, for example, and just kind of keep scrolling through. And the column I like to look at is both cost and impressions, because that's going to tell me where I'm spending money or where my ads are serving the most. So for example, Diaz Roofing, which is a competitor that will negate, I can see I've spent 18 bucks on one click. I don't want to make that mistake again, so I'm going to negate them. Peterson Metal, right now we're coming to a lot. You can see here, we got a lot of competitors popping up here, right? So Peterson Metal, and this could go on forever, right? I'm not going to sit here and add in 100 with you guys, but let's just say we found enough. I'll go ahead and wrap my keywords, scroll down, click wrap, and then I'm going to copy these here. Select a copy it, and now I'll go back and I'll scroll down to my keyword section. We'll go to the negative keyword area, click the blue plus button. We'll go ahead and paste them all in and then hit save. Now, if we go back to our search terms, you'll notice Google does let you negate directly, meaning if you click a couple of these, they give you the option to add it as a negative keyword. We do not want to do this though, as by default, it negates the entire term as an exact match. It's much more efficient and smarter to negate it the way we're doing, in which it's a phrase match trigger variant. So really the biggest takeaway here is going to be utilizing your search terms to find terms that your ads are actively appearing for that you don't want them to appear for, and then to take their trigger terms, right, the trigger word, not the entire phrase, not the entire sentence, not the whole query, just the trigger, and then convert it to a phrase match, and then add it under your negative keyword section. And then, eventually you'll have enough, right? We have a lot in some of these accounts or some of these campaigns, but you'll be able to build lists and stuff and get a lot better. And you can see, for example, we have a lot of negative keywords, and you can kind of get an idea on what we're doing here, right? These are all trigger terms that we don't want our ads to appear for. Most of these will be competitors or terms relating to hiring, sales, DIY, stuff of that nature, right? So definitely take some time out, run an exercise, do 15, 20 minutes of just adding negative keywords every other day or so, and you'll notice significant improvements in your search terms. And that's what you want to track. You want to be able to have your search terms be what I call squeaky clean.